What was your original birth name?
My original birth name, that's actually in this new poem I have. It's Patrice, which I don't think I could ever be a Patrice, but Patrice Steiger was my real name, you know. And Patrice seems way too sweet for me right now. I can never use that.
I think we grow into the names that we get accustomed to, even if they weren't, the original name. I have a brother that was adopted he discovered me 2006. You might remember I told you that. And his name on his birth certificate is not the name that he goes by now. And it always perplexed me when I found out what he was, his name when he contacted me. I went, wait, I already have a brother, Mike. So then we found his original birth certificate and found out he was named something else.
Mm-hmm.
But he was given up. What question has no one ever asked you that you would like to answer?
Boy, I don't know. I've been asked a lot of questions.
I would think.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, no one's ever asked me that, so, but I don't have an answer for that.
Oh, okay. Well, I just thought it would be interesting. Like that one, no one's ever asked me, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about why you wrote. What would you do if you didn't write?
Yeah, I really, I mean, it's that dramatic answer, but I really feel like writing saved me from a young age. And, I needed a place to be. I won the poetry contest in first grade, so it goes back a ways. And I wrote a poem about being on a cloud and drifting away. And I think I'm still writing about the same thing. I'm still writing about escape, and that has to do with leaving town. And, I can't even imagine not writing. And because I feel like it continues to save my life, and because I need to have that method of expression and that kind of work. And it's really, I used to be a social worker years ago.
Right.
I was not a very good social worker. I teach, and, I like teaching, but that's not, I feel like I'm a writer who teaches. I'm not a teacher who writes. So I'm a writer. I love music, but I would study music. I took 5 years of guitar lessons. I wasn't good at it. My husband's a really great guitar player. So music is the closest thing to poetry to me. So I'd probably do something with music, but I'm not talented in that area. So I don't know. I'd be in trouble.
I know what you mean. I sing in the key of L, which is the title of my first book, Singing in the Key of L.
That's right.
The only thing anyone asked me to sing was Far, Far Away. Can you sing Far, Far Away? It took me a while to realize my father really meant like go out the back door, go sing Far Away. So no, I'm terrible. What about other hobbies artistically?
No, I mean, I have paints, and I'm trying to paint, but I always go back to writing. I mean, some of that is time. Well, that could be, a lie, but I feel that it is time, so that maybe when I do have some time, I would get to painting when I could get my mind more free. But that's something I'm interested in. And I watch a million movies, so, I have a memoir coming out next year. So I saw it one time, and so which is great. So I'm not complaining, but and it's making my head blow up a little bit, you know. Plus the, you know, the memoir that's coming out next year is called American Bastard, and it's about adoption. So it's pretty heavy duty for me psychologically to have that come out. So I'm working on preparing for that when that comes into the world. So
right, you're kind of conflicted over how much you really want to share with the world and the need to share with the world, right?
no, I put everything in there that I put photographs, I put names, I put everything, and because it is the dark side of adoption that I think is important, that a lot of people may not agree with. I'm just trying to prepare myself for any responses, and because it's so close to the bone. And because it's not poetry, I can't say, oh, that's the speaker of the poem, that's not me. This nonfiction stuff is serious. You know, it's like,
right.
Yeah.
I did the same thing, and I didn't really know how I would react if a student read it, or my children, or it hasn't been published yet. I'm still like, I don't know if I really want that out there, but maybe when I'm too old to care. Or remember, I'll just shrug. Yeah, mine was called Husbands and Other Strangers.
Okay. And, has that already been published, or no?
No, no. I finished it. Well, I'm always revising it, but I finished the first draft back in 2007. And I don't know. I just keep sitting on it.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. What do you like about poetry? What is it about poetry that drew you?
Well, I mean, I love that something can happen in a very short amount of time, that you don't have to be, you can break a lot of rules. You don't have to be chronological. You don't necessarily have to follow the rules of grammar. I mean, you generally should, unless you have a reason not to, but there's a lot of room. And, you know, as opposed to fiction or nonfiction, generally, where you have to have all this development of character and story, and that makes me tired just thinking about it. And I'm not that person. I'm a fan of the short version of things. Even when I'm talking to someone, I would like to hear the short version. I don't want to hear all the details. My head can't take it. So I like the image. I like the transformation in poems, you know, the turns in poems when things can suddenly become something else. I like the magic of poetry. And I just think poetry can do anything, and that it has the power to affect people on one page. And I think that's amazing. And yeah, I think I'm definitely in the right place with poetry. I feel like it suits me. It suits who I am. And you know, and often, I mean, if you would put me, for example, when I was younger, you know, I wasn't totally clear about who I was, and I applied to get an MBA. It's hard to believe now. Applied to get an MBA, and I was accepted. And I don't know what I was thinking, but you know, when I move into those other areas, you know, other groups of people who are very, like, if you put me in a group of bankers, I'm not going to do very well. I mean, nothing against bankers. Well, I have problems with bankers, but if you put me in a group of bankers, they might think I'm stoned or something, you know, and I'm not. Because I speak maybe more slowly, or I'm drifting off. You know how poets are. And, and, you know, I love poets for that. I mean, they jump around often in their speech, and we're thinking about other things. And like when I don't cook, but when I have cooked, I start thinking about something else and I set my pajamas on fire. You know, that's who I am. So I'm definitely a poet, and you know, me and the world are on different terms. And so thank God for poetry, you know.
Maybe that's why I never cook or eat until I get dressed. I must be afraid. What was the first poem you remember reading or being drawn to? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember. No, I don't. I really don't. But I remember when I returned to poetry as an adult, after I went through the social worker phase and everything, because when I was in college, I didn't take any writing classes because I felt like I wouldn't be able to be a writer. So when I started again, I started reading Philip Levine and poems about work, and that was really great for me, you know.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Yeah.
That was a great series he did.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jim Daniels also has a great series about work. Yep. Going back to the memoir, how difficult then for you was it transitioning to prose?
Yeah, I found it really difficult. I had been trying to write it for many years. I put together a book proposal like you're talking about in the year 2000. And so now the book's coming out 20 years later. So it took a while. And when I finally sat down to write it, I had just real trouble knowing just where to start. And you know, when you see my book, you'll see that I have a lot of grounding in the book related to, again, to the West and the natural world in that book, which is strange because, you know, the book takes place in the East, but my birth father, who I found out was a Canadian hockey player who won 3 Stanley Cups, and he was born in Winnipeg. So there is some West in me for sure. And so that's how I wrote it. I started with some quotes from Western writers because I needed to start somewhere, and I needed to work that way because I just couldn't start. And that's the only way I knew how. And then, of course, some of those quotes fell away, or some of that framework fell away, but a lot of it stayed. And yeah, it was really interesting. I wrote most of it, you know, I mean, I had journals and journals and notes, but I wrote the actual most of it in Wyoming when I was out there. So again, that was probably, I'd have to look at the map, but it's probably south of Winnipeg. I don't know if it's directly south, but and I rode the train across Canada like 4 times.
I have a map up on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
Just south of Winnipeg is Bismarck.
Winnipeg in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah, I'm looking up at my wall. I have a map of the United States and Canada.
Yeah, I should know that. But yeah.
I don't know why I have that up there. It's been up there forever. And there's a couple of pins in it that I have no idea why they're there either. So
maybe you have
no idea. I don't know. I don't know. Would you read poetry, do you think, if you were not a poet yourself?
Oh, I have no idea, because I can't imagine not being a poet. So I don't know. Hopefully.
Did you like nursery rhymes as a child, or fairy tales?
No, we didn't know. It wasn't a happy childhood. There was no reading. There was no reading. There was no anything like that. no. No, and that stuff scares me, honestly. Nursery rhymes always scared me, and any children's stories scare me.
Yes, they're very punitive.
I can't remember a lot of my childhood, but no.
That might be a good thing.
Yeah, probably.
You want to, right. Read another poem from the book, your choice.
Okay.
There's so many I love that I'm gonna let you choose. I hate, I check poems. I put check marks.
I'm happy for you to choose if you want.
I will tell you, I loved Gun Lover. I loved For the Man Who Died on the Tracks. Oh, that was just, She Was West. Oh, I really like that because I love the idea of your flame self. So read that one.
Okay, She Was West. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I know it's a little long, but
what page is that?
It's 61.
Okay.
It's kind of 2.5 pages, 3 pages long. But
is that too long? No. Okay.
no.
Okay, and this is about a woman who I met many years ago, and her name was Martha West, and she was pretty amazing. She was just great. I'm going to use a different version here. Yeah. She was, it's that thing where I met her in Tucson, and that's the thing where you meet strangers and they change you, and that's an amazing thing. That's happened to me a lot, that I've met strangers who changed my life, and then I never see them again. This is called She Was West. I hadn't yet met my flame self. My life was a topographical dictionary, bumps and rises, steep canyons. I was looking for the spiking sun, the formations, but not as mine. The massive dictionary, a foot thick inside me with red leather cover and silver rivets, holding me together. Read it and keep it in my clothes closet. Pull it out at night until the cover falls off, pages torn, and so thick I can never exhaust it, and always more room for me, a way to leave home. The green encyclopedias I stored in my body, Funk and Wagnalls, and I read them, hungry for knowing what was out there, the countries, world, the desert flowers, the miracle times of the body and mind. I met her in 1983, Martha West. I was sitting on the rounded curb, side road in Tucson by the dirt garden, looking at the sky for answers, crying at my life, and she drove up in a little red car. Do you need help? Yes, and I jumped in. I'm on my way to an AA meeting. Want to go? Sure, I said, anywhere to not be with myself. We went on like that for weeks, her driving, me sitting. She was a working National Geographic photographer, and it was April. The desert was in bloom. She took me to lunch. She showed me the flowers in the desert and to her place, a small adobe with paned windows and inside rooms sheeted off, with colorful scarves and spreads, a table with a cloth draped over it, everything attended to, adorned with color. She fed me fruit in a sandwich, fresh juice, carrot, ginger, everything I had never had. I was lost. I was opening to her. She said, you can stay with me. You don't have to go home. Martha West said, be here now, said, you are whole. She was my new dictionary with words and flash canyons and infant streams. She showed me how to fold my body up and let it go, to speak with words about pain always hidden. She was sent to the world, and I walked with her for a while. Some people open the world for you like a flash inevitable. She was west. She was ageless, sun in her face, 50s maybe, alive with saying what was on her mind, splitting the world open. It was a time, an unfolding, a flash field where dirt ruled and the tracks through the desert became my tracks through the body, and transforming, wild, running love. Dirt, dirt, splitting open the body where streams cut a path. I don't know if it was gold poppies, paper flowers, or Indian blanket, flowering this hot April, and Martha, the sender, said some once every 20 years, and now alive. Brought by a triggering rain, these colors other than I've seen, everything other than I've seen. Dirt, the tunneling in and down, the lifting up, break through, be here now. You are perfect and whole, she said. Words never heard and another language in this new encyclopedia. I could never walk steady as myself, and all the former dead selves walked the dirt and felt it dust up on us as paradise.
The imagery in that, it just grabbed me. How old were you when you met her?
I must have been like 30. Yeah.
Did you do most of your traveling alone?
Yeah.
You've been all over the US, so.
Yeah, I did. I used to travel with a
And
friend of mine, Kathy, but mostly alone. Now I'm always alone now. And I think that works best for me because then you can meet people, or I can write, or I can do whatever and don't have to make arrangements. That's one thing I want to get away from when I travel is arrangements. I don't want to talk to anybody about what do you want to do? What time do you want to do it? What do you want to eat? You don't want to eat there? Okay. You know, I don't want to ever talk about that again. Really. And
right. Just go where the moment takes you.
Yeah, just like whatever. Don't eat if you don't feel like eating. Take a day off of eating, or take a day off of sleeping, or, you know, just wander around. And oh man, I need that. I need it.
Yeah, well, your poems certainly reflect that, and the creativity and energy of that comes through so strongly. I was really just struck by the sense of place and how many, you know, it's just fabulous.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to keep you too long. Let's close with a poem. This time you pick one.
Okay, I'll close with this Texas poem. Our last poem in the book. It's from West Texas. And I was in Marfa a couple years ago, and I didn't really get it. I don't get West Texas. I have to go back. Maybe I didn't spend enough time. This is called West Texas Love Poem. Spread a map on the hood of your car and try to remember what you wanted. If you want to be seen as yourself, that might not happen. If you wanted the prize, the explosion, the magnificence, run your hands over the map, feel the softness of the paper, the engine heat through the Guadalupe Mountains. Nobody promised you anything, and they shouldn't have. The mint green of the old map catapults you home, home, meaning wherever your hand is. The topographical blue lines make you long for old highs and lows, like they were something. Well, they got you here, to this car, this life. Straighten the corners near West Texas. Remember how goddamn lucky you are to be loved. Now get in the car and drive.
Just do you often go back to maps or do some research to, you know, get your mindset back in the place so that you could be more specific?
I love maps. I have this thing about maps. I have maps all over. I have maps on my walls. I have all these old atlases. I have atlas from that my father used to have with his leather cover. I'm just obsessed with, maybe because that was the way I could travel before I could travel. But yeah, I'm so upset that we don't use them anymore. I mean, we have, and I wish we had to
I
figure
do.
out where we were going. Why do we, I don't want any voice telling me where to go, I mean, that doesn't
Right.
make sense.
I hate.
You hate it too?
Oh, I hate it. I prefer to have a map. I print out a map. If I have to Google something, I print the map out because then I know how to go. And yeah, I hate that voice.
Well, I have a friend.
Especially.
Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
I have a friend who has changed her car, directions to the voice of Elvis, and that helps a little bit, but it doesn't really do it.
I didn't know you could do that.
Well, you can do that. You have to pay for it, Maybe you should
No,
try.
I hate that one. My brother once, listening to his GPS, he was trying to get back to Naples, and he missed the 595 west exit and wound up on the turnpike going north. And he was listening to his GPS, which would have taken him about 50 miles north to where that road connects to somewhere north of I-95. And then it would have taken him over to Naples because the thing is stupid. It didn't know. Just get off at the next exit and go west. So it's a good thing I happened to call him and ask him if he made the turn right this time, because he was notorious for missing it. And he said, no, we missed it. We're she's telling us to go to Delray Beach, which is like 50 miles out of the way. So for an hour and a half drive to Naples.
Crazy.
So I'm not a fan. I love maps too. I love maps.
Yeah. I like when those GPS, take people to drive right into the water, it's great, and the people keep doing it. And it's crazy.
Or recalculating, make a U-turn. Yeah, they're just awful. Do you remember when we used to have, well, you probably didn't ever have to plot them, but we used to actually have real hurricane maps. You'd pick it up at the grocery store, and the only thing we got on the news were coordinates.
Wow.
And I would be sitting at the table plotting my little dots with the new coordinates to see where the hurricane was going.
Oh, you should write about that. You should write about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I never have. I should. I've done a bunch of hurricane poems, but I've never done that. I'm going to write that down. Thank you. Anything else you would like to address or say or tell us? Or
I don't think. I just really happy to talk to you, Barbara, and thank you so much for doing this. Yeah, it's good to see you, and
good to see you too. It's been a while. I think the first time I met you was when Denise was on that panel for Uffridge at an AWP.
Okay, that's probably right.
Yeah, it was either Chicago or New York.
I don't know.
Both of those. But I think that's, she was on a panel about that. And I think that's when I first met you. It's been a while.
Yeah, but I love Miami and I can't wait. I want to come back. I was at the Betsy Hotel last time, and that was such a great thing, such a great residency there.
Yes.
I can't wait to come back to Miami.
Yes, we'd love to have you back. Yeah, the Betsy's great. I did one of those too. It was wonderful. Okay, well, if you don't have anything else you want to tell us, I don't want to keep you. Are you standing? It looks like you're standing.
Yeah, I'm standing.
I want to keep you on your feet. Yeah, it looked like you were. I don't want to keep you on your feet.
I'm okay.
Unless you want to keep going, I'm happy to keep going. But I know you like short and sweet.
But thank you.
Okay, great.
Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see each other in person